Hey, Hockey fans, how's everybody doing? Just going to review some scores quick, and then we'll do picks for Tuesday. 9 games on the board for Tuesday. Minnesota against Vegas. Minnesota won that game 2-0. We got that one right. St. Louis lost in overtime to the Sharks 3-2. Got that one wrong. Edmonton took care of Ottawa 3-2. We got that one right. Arizona, tough game for them, but they pulled out a win over Colorado 3-2. We got that one right. Montreal on Vancouver back into the game late in the third. They went into overtime, and Vancouver ended up winning the game 2-1. And then Anaheim in overtime beat the Kings 6-5, so we got that one right. So it was actually a really good way to start the week. My best bet, we got that one right, so best bet went up to 7-5. And then my parlay, Minnesota, Edmonton, and Arizona, all three of those came through. So that was good hitting that parlay. Total bets 4-2, so record 54-42. And good way to start the week. So now we'll get on to some picks for Tuesday. Got the New York Rangers. And I just want to say it's a tough day for me to pick because I'm definitely not picking teams that I like here. I'm picking teams that I think are going to win, which is sometimes a little tricky. But anyway, the Rangers against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 7-3-0, current 2-game winning streak. Tristan Jarry is listed in net for Pittsburgh. The Rangers are 6-4-0, current 1-game losing streak. Alexander Gorgaev is listed in net for the Rangers. They're in 6th, 23 points in the Mass Mutual East. Pittsburgh in 4th with 29 points. These teams played each other this past Sunday. The Penguins took care of that game 5-1, and they control this series 4-1. The Rangers got to be thinking who they're taking on next after Pittsburgh here, and it's Boston, and they're in a tough spot. I think they're a little tired. I want the Rangers to win, but I think Pittsburgh is going to win the game. Reluctantly, I'm going to make my first pick, Pittsburgh, to beat the Rangers. Next game, Boston against the New York Islanders. The Islanders are 7-2-1 in their last 10, current 5-game winning streak. Varlamov is listed in net for the Islanders against the Boston team that's 4-5-1, current 1-game losing streak. Halleck has been confirmed in net for Boston. They're in 3rd with 29 points in the Mass Mutual East. The Islanders in 1st with 34 points. The Islanders last played Buffalo and won 5-2. The Bruins played the New Jersey Devils in their last game, and they lost that game 1-0. Boston's going to be looking for their first win against this Islanders team in this series. New York has won all 3 times they have met. The last time was 7-2, and Halak, a former Islander, he was in that game as well when they won 7-2. The Islanders have not had a loss in regulation yet this year at home. They're 10-2. So I got to go the Islanders here. My next pick is going to be the Islanders to beat Boston. Next game, Buffalo against Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 5-4-1 in their last 10, current 2-game losing streak. Carter Hart listed in net for Philadelphia against a very, just a struggling team here. Buffalo 2-7-1, current 6-game losing streak. Carter Hutton listed in net. They're in 8th last position, 15 points in the Mass Mutual East. Philadelphia in 5th with 27 points. The Flyers' last game was a loss to Washington 3-1. The Sabres' last game was a loss to the Islanders 5-2. Buffalo took the first game of this series, and the Flyers have won 3 games since, and every single game the final score was 3-0. I know the Islanders got to work on a few things. Their power, their penalty kill looked really bad that last game. But I look to Philadelphia to get back to their winning ways here. And unfortunately, hand Buffalo their 7th loss. So my pick, Philadelphia to beat Buffalo. Next game, the Devils against Washington. Washington 7-2-1 in their last 10. Current 1-game winning streak. Vitek Vanacek is listed in net for Washington. The Devils are 2-8-0 with a current 1-game winning streak. Blackwood is listed in net for the Devils. They're in 7th with 18 points in the Mass Mutual East. Washington in 2nd with 32 points. The Devils last played Boston and had a great win, 1-0. The Capitals beat Philadelphia 3-1 in their last game. The Capitals have won all 3 games that these teams have played, 4-3, 5-2, and 3-2. Washington back home now after a 5-game road trip. And you know what? Surprisingly, these two teams are pretty healthy. There's a ton of guys out on injuries right now, and some teams are. It's going to affect how they go here. These teams are both pretty healthy, but I do like Washington. Washington at home here is going to be my pick to beat the Devils. Next game, Nashville against Carolina. Carolina team that's 7-3-0 in their last 10 current 5-game winning streak. James Reimer listed in net for Carolina. Nashville 5-5-0 current 1-game winning streak. Pekka Rinne listed in net for Nashville. They're in 6th with 22 points in the Discover Central. Carolina in 2nd with 35 points, one behind the Lightning. The Hurricanes last played Florida and won that game 4-2. Nashville won a tough game against Dallas team in a shootout 4-3. They had a controlling lead, and then Dallas came back and surged and put it into, obviously, extra time. Carolina has defeated Nashville twice this season. Both games ended with a final score of 4-2. I listened to some of the interviews after the games, and Carolina, I mean, their coach and the players, they feel like they're playing the best hockey, and this last game was the best 60 minutes they've put in yet this season. So they got a ton of confidence. And I don't know if I'm crazy on this one, but I'm looking to Nashville here, who also is getting some confidence. And I call an upset here. And I think Nashville might get a couple quick ones and then hold on to a lead. And I see Nashville winning. I'm going to pick Nashville to beat Carolina for my pick. Next game, Florida against Columbus. Columbus 3-6-1 in their last 10 with a current 1-game losing streak. Korpisalo listed in net for Columbus against a Florida team that's 5-3-2 with a current 1-game losing streak. Bobrovsky is listed in net for Florida. They're in 3rd with 34 points in the Discover Central. Columbus sitting in 5th with 25 points. The Panthers last lost to Carolina in their game 4-2. The Blue Jackets also lost their last game 5-0 to Dallas. Game apiece in this series. Columbus, Nashville, there's a ton of teams here that really have to start winning some games. So there's gonna be some really intense hockey here over the next little while, I think. I think the Blue Jackets having an extra day of rest and Florida looking a little tired in that last game and still on the road. This is a tough pick, but I'm gonna go Columbus here. I'm gonna go Columbus to beat Florida. Next game, Winnipeg against Toronto. Toronto 7-3-0. Both these teams are 7-3-0 in their last 10. Toronto current 2-game losing streak. Frederik Andersen is listed in net for Toronto against the Winnipeg team. Again, 7-3-0 in their last 10. Current 1-game losing streak. Connor Hellebuck listed in net for Winnipeg. They're in 3rd with 31 points in the Scotia North. Toronto sits in 1st with 38 points. The Jets had a really rough loss to Montreal, 7-1 in their last game. And the Leafs lost to Vancouver 4-2. Before that, again to Vancouver 3-1. So 2 straight losses for Toronto, the Leafs took the only game that these teams have played this season 3-1. And this is the first of a 3-game set in the next 5 days for these teams. I don't know, we talk about physical exhaustion, but mental is also part of this game. And I think it might take Winnipeg a game to bounce back here. And I don't know if they'll win this game. I think this is a bounce-back game for Toronto and Winnipeg, a game to figure things out. So I'm going to go Toronto. Toronto is going to be my pick to beat Winnipeg. Next game, Tampa against Detroit. Detroit 3-6-1, current 3-game losing streak. Tampa 7-2-1 in their last 10, current 1-game winning streak. Vasilevsky listed for Tampa, Bernier for Detroit. Tampa's in 1st with 36 points in the Discover Central. Detroit 8th last with 17 points. The Red Wings lost their last game to Carolina 5-2. The Lightning last played Chicago and doubled them up 6-3. Tampa leads this season series 2-0, winning both games. They have played 5-1 and 3-1. The Red Wings should have Dylan Larkin back, I think, for this game, which I think is a good thing for Detroit, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to, get them to beat Tampa here. This is the first game of 2. They play again on Thursday. First place team against a last place team. I'm going to go Tampa here. Tampa should easily beat this team. Tampa's going to be my pick. Last game, Chicago against Dallas. I'm excited to see this game because you got yeah, two good teams. Dallas is 2-6-2. I know the record doesn't sound like they're good, but they are good. 2-6-2 in their last 10. Overtime decision. Anton Khudobin listed in net for Dallas. Chicago 6-3-1. Current one-game losing streak. I think Subban is going to be in net for Chicago. They're in fourth with 31 points in their Discover Central. Dallas in seventh with 19 points. Chicago, they lost their last game 6-3 to Tampa. Dallas, they lost their last game in a shootout 4-3 to Nashville. The Hawks won both games these teams have played, both 2-1. Subban played a great game last game when he was in net against Tampa. Yeah, and that Jason Robertson from the Stars, he's coming on strong too. There's some players that are, yeah, anyway. These two teams, unlike a couple teams I talked about earlier, do have a lot of guys, both with injuries. So it's going to be an interesting game. And I know Dallas is surging right now, and I think they're probably even favored, which surprises me in this game. I'm going to go Chicago. My final picks are going to be Chicago to beat Dallas, Tampa to beat Detroit, Toronto to beat Winnipeg, Columbus to beat Florida, Nashville to beat Carolina, Washington to beat the Devils, Philadelphia to beat Buffalo, Islanders to beat Boston, Pittsburgh to beat the Rangers. My best bet, I'm going to use the Islanders, and I'm going to parlay a 4-game parlay. I'm going to do Washington, Tampa, Philadelphia, and Toronto together in a parlay and individual bets. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday. Good luck with your picks. Thanks for watching. Talk soon.